everyone, to another American TESOL Presents Free Friday webinars. We are here every Friday, thanks to AmericanTESOL.com, where you can get certifications for teaching with technology, an ESL Advanced TESOL certification, teaching young learners, or teaching business English. Also, you can do this face to face, or also you can get this on an online course. We have several of those. One of them one of them I've created, which is the esltech.com course. But you can find all of that at americantesol.com. And we recently updated our accreditation, so that's very exciting news. It went really well, and we're just so excited that that's part of the process as well. I want to talk to you today about creating vision boards and goal setting with students. Around the corner is the new year, and when you are talking about the new year, that's somewhat related to establishing some sort of goals or New Year's resolutions. I know for different students that year can begin in February, so you still have the resources and time for that. The reason why vision boards are so we've talked about goal setting in the past, but vision boards are a really great way to be able to achieve goals. And so it's not only that we want our students to set goals, set learning goals, and to be able to achieve these great goals, but I found with my students, and I will show you examples of my student vision boards this semester that just passed. I try to do one every semester for them. And one of the reasons I have them do that is because without action, without daily inspiration, then goal setting often just becomes visions or our dreams, but we don't actually get to be able to do that. So I think it's really, really important that we're able to set goals, but part of that is also achieving those goals. And so I think that that's really important as well. So what we want to do is we want to be able to get our students to really, really be able to envision and be inspired. And that's one of the things that I've been able to do with my students as well. I think if you go to the link right now, I just recently updated it, so it should work, I hope. Except for the title might not work. But one way that there's different ways to do vision boards, and some of the most successful people in the world promise by them. They and successful entrepreneurs, those on Pinterest especially. There's a lot of notable YouTubers, those that are on Instagram. So one of the great things about vision boards is that now you can make it digital. It used to be where you had a board, like a big bulletin board, and then you would pin things such as drawings, such as quotes, such as pictures. You would make a collage, and you would put all of this inspiration in front of you. But now with web tools and apps, we're able to actually make that digital, and that's a good way to be able to save time, save money, make sure that it's preserved for quite a while, because with a physical vision board, these can often be quite huge, as you can see here with this particular vision board. It could be sometimes a whole entire wall. And our students, they may want to do a physical one. You may want to get them to have a poster board, and that works very well. It's something where they can wake up every morning and they see it, and then that's very inspirational. But I'm going to show you some digital options as well that work nicely, and that way they're able not to, for those students where supplies can be expensive, then this can be a way for them to really also have those vision boards created. Sometimes they're called goal boards, often they're called dream boards as well. And the great thing is, like I said before, there's a lot of new jobs out there or professions that our students will need reading and writing skills, which a vision board incorporates all of that. So you do reach learning objectives. You can attach specific objectives related to reading and writing. in statements. You can even attach objectives when it comes to specific grammar achievements. But with this particular activity, it's not only about goal accomplishing, but you can put specific objectives, learning objectives that students reach as well. It's very personal for them. And then it also is a 21st century skill. Creating vision boards, digital vision boards, curation, which we'll see, digital curation. These are all important skills for our learners who are growing up in a very digital world. And so what does this look like? Well, it could look as fancy as this. They can get as creative as they want. That's something really fantastic and wonderful. They create a collage. They can cut out magazine clips. So there's a few ways to do this. You can either have them do this at home, so that way they don't have to carry a big old poster board in the classroom. And then you can have them do this like a project, and then they take a picture, and that's a digital version of it. So that's still a digital vision board. But they can put this on their wall. A lot of students like to do things like this. So that might be one way to encourage your students to do that. Or another way is that students can come into the classroom. You can have the supplies for them. You can have a bunch of magazines. I've done this as well. Construction paper, they've had glue gun. You can make it like a maker space kind of activity as well. And then they're able to you can even give them bulletin boards instead of posters. And then they're able to take these home, or they can post them around the classroom. And with each of the ones that they post on the classroom, they're able to do this as well. Or you can have them, and you can put mixed things in it. So it doesn't mean that a physical collage or a physical, sometimes we think of it as a collage because they're putting images, they're putting quotes. They can get as creative as they want. But you can also make it digital even if it's physical. So if you do have it around the classroom, one thing you can do is you can have little QR codes that that are attached, that go to inspirational music, so they can listen to those YouTube videos. I know the Holstein Manifesto is one of the most famous ways that people like to achieve goals, and they find that a very inspiring video. Or they can even incorporate augmented reality, where some of their images will become augmented reality. So you can get as digital or tech or creative as you want with this. You can make it as low tech as you want or as high tech as you want. It's up to you. Another idea is just to make it straight digital board. And what you can do, because the only difference between a collage and digital board, the only main con about it is with a collage vision board, you're able to wake up and see that every morning. And that's what's the inspiration. So when you think about, for example, let's say that you have the digital board, then you have a little bit of you have that where they have to go to their vision board. Um, and then that makes it to where they don't see that inspiration. So what you could do instead is, you see how all of these are hearts? Instead, this could all be a picture of your student with a QR code, and every morning you could have them scan the QR code to look, and that could be attached to their vision board. That's one way to do it. They can scan the picture of themselves. It could be virtual reality, an augmented reality vision board. So that's one way to make sure that students are looking at this every single day. And then I'll show you some other tools that make that better, that process of looking at it every day, because that's what you want them to do, is look at it every day or quite regularly, have to go back. And there's a lot of activities you can tie into it. So for example, if you don't want them to do that, then once a week, get them to have an open blog where they post and reflect. If you do have them blog every Friday or every Thursday, one of their posts for the weeks has to be about their vision board, about the goals that they put forth in the vision board. I'll show you some steps for accomplishing a great vision board in a little bit as well. Another idea is for students to set reminders. There's a lot of tools out there like if this, then that, and some other ways that students can constantly just give themselves updates about this, or you can send it through a remind post, or constantly make them aware. So recommended tools and apps. I'm going to show you a free template that I've created on Buncee and that I've also given you access to as well. This is actually on the bookmarks. You can use it. Buncee has a free version. You just copy and paste the template. Your students can copy and paste my template and do whatever they want with it. So it's very fast and easy. You don't even have to. I'll show you what that looks like. You can have them just do it on their own any way they want without a template using Canva, Padlet, Google Keep, Pick Collage S'more, EduGlockster. And then I found and you can do any kind of curation tool as well. Something that looks like Pinterest. In fact, I forgot to put Pinterest up here, but Pinterest is the one that I've used with students to create vision boards as well, or Vision CC. So a lot of those tools are good. The reason why I use Buncee, and I've used it a lot this semester, is because Buncee is created for education. So you may think something like Pinterest is better. And with my adult students, especially teachers that I work with and train, I use Pinterest. I love it. I think it's wonderful, a great way to curate things on the internet, which is often what inspires people these days. YouTube videos, podcasts, all of that can be curated on a Pinterest vision board or dream board. But with students is a different thing. So now I teach students, I teach freshman English. And so with my students, I need to make sure that it's COPA compliant, that they're not going to go searching through the net and see something, that it's filtered, it's protected in some way. And so I really like Buncee for that. So I've created this vision board template. You're more than welcome. Peggy George is really great. Just added the template right there. You can just copy it. If you go to that template, it'll just let you copy it. And so this is what it looks like. My students they change the background. Mine was a very boring blue background, but with their template, it's 3 slides. They set their academic goals in 1 slide. They have to put inspirational quotes, just inspirational quotes that they find. They can be images. All of this they were able to search for on Buncee. They were able to search for the background on Buncee. They were able to search for the images and then just embed them. The great thing about Buncee is it automatically links to the image they included. So it actually respects copyright and Creative Commons. The second slide, and once again, they change the background. They're able to do anything they want. They can even change the banners. It's just a template that they can, they can do, they fill it in. So here they put their personal goals. This is my students, personal goals here. And then they have to put inspirational videos too. So she added one. And this was searched for, she searched for YouTube videos on Buncee, and then she was able to add one. The great thing is that Buncee filters all of this, so that way I can make sure she's not seeing something that's, not appropriate. If she went outside of Buncee, then she could see anything on YouTube. Not that they won't, but in my classroom, I'm pretty happy that they don't do that in my classroom. So, and then finally, the last slide is their ultimate goal. What is their dream goal in life? What is, that life achievement they want? And then again, they can add inspirational images and inspirational video that will really get them to do that. So you can see what a vision board consists of. And for my vision boards, it's not, I try to it's not just to my classroom, but I believe that if they're achieving academic goals, personal learning goals, then they're going to be successful in my classroom because it makes them work harder. It makes them realize, especially when you teach English language learners, that if they focus on learning language, and that's usually one of the main goals of English language learners, travel, anything like that, then all of that becomes part of them achieving success in my classroom. So I think that's really, really wonderful. So another tool that students are able to use that kind of achieve this effect, that is a great way to have a private board and everything as well, or you can even make templates, is through Padlet. I didn't see exactly like a Padlet. The closest thing I found was this inspiration wall. So students are able to use Padlet to create an inspiration wall. Of course, they can add video, they can add images. You notice how they did screenshots from their Instagram. They can add links. So Padlet's a really great way for them to do that as well. You can embed the Padlets on their blog, or they can embed the Padlets on a class website. So Padlet can be a really great way to do this as well. And then one of my favorite ways is through Pinterest. With Pinterest, they curate whatever they have on the web. They can take pictures of physical things. They can even have PDFs added, PDFs or books with tips and things like that. So when you are creating vision board, you might want to know, okay, what are the steps involved? What should I do when I'm creating this particular vision board? So we're going to go through that really quick. I got this from, and Peggy Jo put that in the chat box, but purplepatchdiy.com. That website shows you right here vision board ideas. I've made it a little bit bigger so you can see. You can see what it is, and then she gives you the steps, step by step, tips and ideas. So Pinterest can be one way to create this vision board, but it's also a great resource. If you type in vision boards, it'll give you tons of examples, which is what your students want to see. They want to see tons of vision board examples. The other thing is that Pinterest will give you tons of articles from really successful people on social media, like Instagram, of Instagram fame, that's their career, Instagram fame or YouTube fame. And they give you tons of ideas and tips on how to create a vision board. So Pinterest can be used in both ways, and not only to create, but to be able to also find resources and templates. And I'm going to show you even a workbook that I found through Pinterest. So number one, start with the main title or idea about the vision board here. Be positive. And I think that's really good. You want your students to be positive. So these can be all tips for your students. Make it personal. I think that's very important. If your students, if you want them to really learn your content, if you want them to be successful in your class, they have to be able to see how they can apply it in their life, how it's going to better some area in their personal life, whether it be that they are able to travel to speak English, or maybe because they want to have more opportunities in their job, or maybe it could be something that they like social media. They want to be a social media guru someday, or someone Instagram famous, and for them English may be that. Maybe it's that they're a singer songwriter. They want to someday be able to sing or have a record contract in English. And whatever it is that makes it to where, or maybe they want to read research and it happens to be in English, or one of their favorite TV shows or movies is in English and they'd like to be able to watch it. So as long as that is personal, then that's going to keep motivating them. For them to write it out, that's really important, or type it out. Include short-term goals, small steps, and I'll talk about, of course, I wrote a book, and I do have a free online, open online course that anyone's teachers and students can join starting in February, actually. That's from the Ministry of Education in Spain for 6 weeks. We will go and go through the process of actually accomplishing short-term goals for big goals, for big instructional goals. So I'll give you some more information about that towards the end of the webinar. But that's one of the things I've been working on, is creating this course all year. And then you can you add quotes. Add quotes is basically what they're this particular author, what she's saying here. So the other part of this is, let me get back here. So one of the things that I really liked about was also, now on Chrome, they have this new tool that I learned about. I haven't tested it much, but you make a vision board by putting it on the web. And with this vision board, you're constantly adding to the vision board. So I really like that as a Chrome extension. It's free. But the other part of Vision Board CC, that's what it's called, visionboard.cc, is that with this particular Chrome extension, um, that you're able to be able to, oh, it changed already. I just did it today. So, but look for it on the Chrome store. So thanks for letting me know that. Look for it on the Chrome store, Vision Board CC. The great thing about this is it adds it to your homepage. So as soon as you open up your browser, your students open up their browser, the first thing they're going to see is their vision board. So that's really incredible. That's one way to constantly get your students to reflect back and look on their vision boards. So last semester I had where my students created vision boards, and I'm either going to use this or I'm going to use QR codes where they constantly come back and then they have to address their vision board. So that way they're constantly looking at it, remembering their vision, and hopefully I'll have a lot more successful students complete my class this semester. I will let you know the results later. I'll probably blog about it, teacherbootcamp.com, so that way you can use those ideas to help in your classes. So the vision board workbook, if you want to know more, if you want workbook printables and templates, which all add to writing exercises. So if you teach any kind of writing portion in your classroom, then you're able to use these templates to really get students to think about it. I found this from the blog morningcoffeewithdee.com. And so she has tons of tons and tons of she has tons of tips on the actual blog itself, and so that can be something you look at. It's free, so that's really wonderful. And that's reading for your students, so that's a reading with action, which I love. You can help your students to accomplish their goals by so once they do their vision boards, they have to revisit, they have to constantly have those goals in mind. And if they don't, then it's going to be very difficult to achieve goals. And I'm saying this as an author who is, for the last 10 years, have helped teachers and people all over the world, and including myself for the last 40 years, well, not 40, 30, because probably I started goal setting around maybe 10, 9. Now I'm about 40. Well, I am 40, so. But I've done a new method each year. And what I found is that you can introduce several methods. SMART, there's another one for SMART. But whatever the students, they can see the methods, they can see what are the tips, and they can choose what is the best method for them, what works with their schedule, what are they realistically going to be able to do. But I do like the tenets of SMART. Does a specific, it has to be a specific goal. Does it target a specific area for improvement? Is it health? Is it personal? That's what I based my template on: personal, academic, ultimate goal. I didn't put health on there, but they could add that under personal. Measurable. How are you going to measure your success? With academic, it's pretty easy, to do some measurements there. That might require analytics, but it's benchmarking. Every 4 weeks, are they going to see, has their listening, writing, speaking skills enhanced? Or, you can have specific measures for that, or the reading level, how much of the reading, the vocabulary. If it's to learn more vocabulary, then how many where can they track those words? So how are they going to measure that success? Is it reachable? If they want to be completely fluent in English and they're beginners and they only have a semester in your class, you might want them to make sure that they set goals that are a little bit more achievable. Well, what do you mean? And that might be defining. What do you mean by fluent? Oh, I want to be able to speak with a perfect accent. Well, what if you are able to speak quite a bit and are very understandable, will that be, so we want to make them achievable, realistic, and then time related. When are they going to be able to do this? Well, we hope that all the goals in the vision board are by the end of your class period. So if they do it now, then by the end of your class, they want to have the time is set to that, or a month before they finish. So that I do like. I think that is good for SMART. It gets, but there's a lot of different ones. You can get them to map out or to be able to sketch goals. I think that that's a lot of different learners now. They really like drawing and sketching. It was a little difficult for some of my students when they first started. I had to let them see several examples, and even then, some of them were nervous about writing stick figures. I had to prompt them. I had to go and look in their papers and say, look, you can draw, you don't have to be a good drawer. You can do something very basic. A lot of them still had some more writing. So in this particular one, it's yoga. So they had a little yoga person. A lot of my learners, this is what their sketch notes look like. So I still think that that's really good. So I encourage that. I let them do it in the way that works best for them. Some of them need encouragement. Some of them are artists and will, do great sketch notes, but some of them will still want to stick to labeling and words. And you can go through sketch noting. That's another webinar and another resources we have within our plethora of different presentations that we have on American TESOL. I think we have over like 700 presentations we've done in the last 7 to 10 years, I think. So definitely you can help them and make sure that they do it in a way that's they get to choose. So give them a lot of choices when it comes to goal setting, because it's very personal. They can have clouds of goals and resolutions. And I believe here you can find, I think I did a post. I don't know. Peggy might have to look that up, but the word clouds, I have a lot of word cloud tools and things like that. The book Shook is the one who put this. So that could be another writing activity where they put visuals with their word cloud. And if you want to do one with students, well, this one was really great. So a lot of this looks like it's for adults only, but goal setting is not only for adults. Goal setting, reading, I mean, achieving personal learning goals in your classroom can start at a very early age. With students, it's more cartoonish and drawings. Here, they can go back and they can reflect, but you can turn this into their vision board or what they want to do next year. I want to, so instead, it could say at the beginning of the year, I want to, by the end, I want to learn to, my friends are, and so they're just answering questions. It's very easy. Of course, change it to 2018, but this is, and then you can use this again, this kind of template for their year in review. They go back and they revisit and they reflect on what they have achieved. This is what goal setting look like. So I've been goal setting with my students for quite a long time, and I try to find the best ways. The ones that I'm going to show you for, the one I showed you for Bunsey, I did this past semester. So this was in August of 2017. This is the way I did it for adult learners when I was teaching in Germany in 2010. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And then you can see here, they just all put it on the Padlet. And that's the way we were able to do it, the English goals for 2010. And then I'm going to show you some specific examples of that. So I believe when the students make their goals, the goals should be specific and personal statements. So here, Tanya, she says, I will improve my speaking skills by speaking with my coworkers approximately 3 times a week. Here, I will improve my English by reading articles, watching movies, searching for words. So each of these students is approaching learning in the classroom and learning my subject in the way that matches their everyday life, and that's what's important. They should set deadlines here. Ian, he says, I will improve my speaking skills by reading and listening 30 minutes twice a week. So be specific with the time, be specific with deadlines. And by all of them, it was to achieve this by the end of the class period. So they had a specific deadline, but also specific time frames. I should have put that as the title too, specific time frames and deadlines. Tie into routines. So Thea, she liked watching English videos, American videos, and British English videos, and she loved American radio. They had an American radio station in Germany because it was a military town as well. So what she did was she said instead of just listening to listening to my native language radio station, I am going to turn it and listen to the American one. And so these are kind of improvements that she drives to work every day, Monday through Friday. When she's driving into work, that's that time where she's able to listen. And so instead of doing the 30-minute commute with just her German radio, she's gonna she's adapting. She's gonna say 10 minutes. So that's what's really important, is what works into your routine and what works into students' routines. Tie into interest. Gabby says, I will improve my speaking skills by visiting an English speaking event. So there is a lot of, and the same thing, if there's math events, I know here in San Antonio, we're going to have different scientists we have come visit. Neil deGrasse Tyson is giving a lecture. So whatever the learning can tie into their interests as well. It could be events that are hosted. Maybe there's like a science, seminars, or maybe it's science podcasts, or maybe they listen to Science Friday every Friday like I do, which is actually on right now. What is it that interests them? Is it YouTube videos? Is that what they usually do? Then have them do that. You can find more goals, especially for language learners, in this article I wrote for ESL Library, bit.ly/Shelley New Year goals. You definitely, there has to be reflection to be able to accomplish goals. It has to be constant reflection. So as I said, one way to get them to go back to the vision board, require one journal or blog entry a week to dealing with their vision boards. How much progress did they make? What was the new inspirational thing they added? If it's a Pinterest board or it's a Bunty board or a curation board, what was the newest? And that it could be an activity too. What is your newest inspiration you added to your vision board, and why did you add it? What is the significance of it? So this can be for any subject, and I think that's really, really great. More tips. You can have a quote wall. So this is what I did with my high school students, and it worked really well. So what we did was we put a whole entire large butcher paper on the back of the wall, and every day students were allowed to put sticky notes. They were allowed to draw. They had markers, whatever, but it was on a whiteboard. A butcher paper. So students were able to fill that up with motivational quotes. Different things they were learning, so they could just draw. It was really great for whenever I had students with ADD or students who finished faster than the others. Then instead of messing with the other students, they would go to the quote wall and they would just draw or write or do things on it. So that's really, really great way, I think, is to be able to do that. Skype role models. So what you can do is take a list of the goals that your students are trying to accomplish. This is one thing I started this year. So is I started doing not necessarily Skype, but that was easier to put in a slide than video conference or interview. But I should have just put interview role models. And so I'll write about that soon on my blog, but if your students, depending on what they want to do, one wanted to be a politician. So I'm going to try and get better about this, but at the beginning of the year, find out, what your students want to do, find a role model that meets that, and then have them interview or have them have that person come as a guest speaker, or do a virtual video conference with that role model. So if someone wants to be an astronaut, you can actually Skype astronauts. If someone wants to be a politician, that's pretty easy. Lots of politicians want to come visit a classroom. That looks really good. In the past, we had our mayor, Julian Castro, come speak to the kids. So find your list of those you want to Skype, make it based on their accomplishments, their ultimate goals. And that inspires students even more, and they will find such great learning for that. The other great thing about doing this is usually you can find some who will speak in, if you are teaching English language learners, then they speak in English, and then that's another way that you get them to learn, by listening and things like that, writing questions for them. Motivational videos, you can show them TED Talks, you can show them, the Hollister Manifesto. This year, this past semester with my students, they really loved. So we did David Wallace's "This Is Water." We did Steve Jobs' commencement speech to Stanford, and they loved it. Those were their favorites. And they really loved also the videos of me interviewing people that they thought were pretty inspiring locally in the neighborhood. So I thought that that was really really wonderful. Virtual mentors. So if a lot of times they could write someone, and then they could ask for virtual mentors. There's some online means that are set up that way too. So for example, if they want to go in television and radio, they can join an online community or a Facebook group, or another online community that works just for that, and they get to learn a lot of tips and stuff. So it could be part of a passion project. I've seen teachers do that, where they have a passion project and they can join this mentor group as part of that. And there's a lot of resources. I know Peggy has a lot on Genius Hour and passion projects. Following, so another way is on Snapchat. If they use Snapchat, if they use Twitter, if they use Facebook, if they use Instagram, they should follow, make it a point that they follow the role models on social networks. That can be something that they do, a reading. So one of the assignments is or their homework tasks, or their missions, like I call them, is to find someone on one of their social networks. They have to, that has accomplished, that's very successful in their growth. It could be any of the social networks they're on, and then just take a snapshot of it. And then what they do is they write about it, they summarize and answer questions about that particular that profile. They list the details of the profile, who that person is, how old they are, how did they get into this profession, if they can find that, what is their background, what is their college education, all of these things that relate about and then this is a person they follow. So a lot of times I let my students know that if they change who they follow, that will often get them in the mindset of accomplishing their dreams and their goals. And this is a great way for them to do that. They all need a support network. I did that through 30goals.com, which is my book, and also social network that I've done. The steps for that for teachers is, first, you accomplish a small step towards a big goal. Second, you reflect through a blog, a video, writing, any way you want. Third, you share that reflection. And fourth, you get feedback from the community. This year, we've also are going to make that an easier process. So in the past, it's always been through my blog. And I decided not to do that these past 2 years because I worked on an online course with Educa and it's a MOOC. It's a massive open online course. Teachers all over, starting in February. It's free to join, and it's for 5 weeks. You will accomplish at least about 10 of the 30 goals, if not more, and you will work with teachers all over the world. So you will get, especially if you're part of the EUK, the European Union, you will be able to get a certification saying that you finished the course. That should count towards PD hours and things like that, especially if you're it's through the Ministry of Education in Spain, I believe. So you're able to get that really helps teachers a lot. You can always join the Facebook group. This is where I'm going to be posting. So we haven't posted in a while because I've been creating this course. It's taken over a year to make this course. And so I thought it was really important to be able to do that. And so right now, when you join the Facebook group, you probably won't see a ton of things, but you will after February. So, and then I'll let you know how you can sign up and everything for that free online course. And then you can always find information at 30 goals edu or even the hashtag 30 goals edu. So thank you all so much for attending and for listening. And you can find a lot of resources.